don't just want the news, they want the truth. What others hide, I bring to you with evidence. Politics, corruption, human rights. No filters, no fear, just facts. I don't stop until the system shakes.
Hello and welcome. This is Makhdoom Shahabuddin and you're watching Trending Daily. Today's question is India's Chabahar dream in Iran dead? This is not just about a port. This is about strategy. This is about power. And this could be turning into one of the biggest geopolitical and economic setbacks for India in recent years. India's long-standing plan to build a strategic gateway through Iran is now facing serious collapse. The Chabahar port project, once presented as a symbol of regional ambition, is now surrounded by uncertainty. After the escalation between the United States and Iran, tightening sanctions and rising instability in the region, the big question is no longer theoretical. Is India's Chabahar dream effectively over? And more importantly, is the Indian economy under increasing pressure under the current government? To understand this situation, we need to go back to why Chabahar mattered. India has always faced a geographical limitation. No direct land access to Afghanistan and Central Asia because of Pakistan. Chabahar was designed to break that barrier. It offered India an alternative route, a trade and transit corridor connecting it to Afghanistan, Central Asia, and beyond. It was also a strategic counter to China's presence in Gwadar. For years, despite sanctions on Iran, India managed to continue work because of a special waiver from the United States. But that protection has now disappeared. The US sanctions waiver expired in April 2026 with no clear signals of renewal. This single development has changed everything. Without the waiver, any Indian involvement in Chabahar risks triggering US penalties for India. And the situation has already begun shifting on the ground. India is now preparing to hand over operational control of the port to an Iranian entity as a temporary or forced adjustment before sanctions fully take effect. There are also growing discussions about reducing or even exiting involvement due to increasing economic and strategic risks. This signals something deeper, not just pressure from the United States, but also a weakening position for India. Now look at the economic side. The ongoing US-Iran conflict has already pushed oil prices high, creating a supply shock. India, being heavily dependent on the imported oil, is directly affected. Higher fuel prices, rising inflation, and increasing pressure on economic growth. Even policymakers in India are showing caution due to the uncertainty created by the conflict. This shows a clear pattern. The Indian economy is facing continuous external shocks. And under the current government, these shocks are becoming harder to manage. Growth projections are slowing, costs are rising, and global uncertainty is adding pressure. Now bring this back to Chabahar. This port was supposed to reduce India's vulnerability. It was meant to secure trade routes, lower costs, and strengthen economic resilience. But today, instead of being a solution, it has become another point of stress for India. Another major development, rising question is India's own policy direction. In the latest budget, India allocated no new funds for Chabahar. This has raised concerns both domestically and internationally. Iran has shown signs of disappointment over reduced Indian commitment. While official statements remain cautious, the ground reality suggests growing uncertainty. From Iran's perspective, India appears inconsistent. From India's perspective, the risks are becoming too high. This creates a dangerous gap because in geopolitics, if one player steps back, another steps in. And the most likely player here is China. With strong ties to both Iran and Pakistan, China is already deeply involved in regional infrastructure. If India loses its position in Chabahar, it risks losing influence across Central Asia. This is not just a port issue anymore. This is about regional power balance. And India's position in that balance is weakening. Now comes the political question. Is this simply global pressure or is it also a failure of strategy? Critics argue that under the Modi government, India's economic and foreign policy approach is becoming increasingly vulnerable. On one side, India has strengthened ties with the United States, but on the other, it is losing strategic space in regions like Iran. This balancing act is becoming harder to sustain, and the consequences are visible. A stalled project, rising economic pressure, and shrinking strategic options. At the same time, India cannot fully walk away because Chabahar still holds long-term importance. Geography has not changed, and the need for access to Central Asia still exists. So India is now stuck, unable to fully continue, unable to fully exit, trying to manage a crisis created by shifting global power dynamics. The broader global situation is also worsening. The US-Iran conflict is affecting shipping routes, energy markets, and global trade flows. This adds further pressure on developing economies like India, which are already dealing with internal economic challenges. So where does this leave the Chabahar dream? In the short term, it is clearly under severe stress. Operational uncertainty, financial risk, and geopolitical pressure are all working against it. In the medium term, everything depends on how tensions between the United States and Iran evolve. If sanctions continue, India's role will remain limited or symbolic. In the long term, the project may still survive, but not in the way it was originally envisioned. What we are witnessing is a major shift. Chabahar was once projected as India's gateway to opportunity. Today, it is becoming a symbol of constraint. Not because the idea failed, but because the geopolitical environment changed. And India was not fully prepared for that shift. The reality is clear. India's economy is under continuous pressure from global shocks, and its strategic projects are facing increasing challenges. Chabahar is just one example, but a very significant one because it represents both economic ambition and geopolitical positioning. The question now is, can India recover its position, rebalance its strategy, and adopt to the new global order? Or will this moment be remembered as a turning point where one of its most important regional ambitions quietly slipped away? Only time will answer that. This is Makhdoom Shahabuddin. You are watching Trending Daily. See you in the next episode.